Hello and welcome back to Colonel O'Truth's Miniature Issues. In the last episode, I showed you the beginnings of Undercrag City, and now I'm moving on to the East Tower and a couple of adjoining buildings. I'm cutting the pieces for the tower from 5mm black foam core. I'm starting with the base, and for reference, I've also traced the line of the street. Cutting just through the paper, I peel off the area that I don't want, so that I can draw stonework into the ground later on. This piece will form the foundation for the tower and lift its ground floor to street level. I'm cutting the four sides of the tower now. These need to be precise, even though I want the end result to look a bit worn and shabby. Here I'm marking where the wall meets the tower. Just a rough guide that I'll tidy up with a straight edge in a moment. You can also see I've outlined some ideas for streets. Throughout this project you'll see things changing and developing in the background, other than just the piece I'm working on at the time. I'll cover these in their own videos. So I'm planning out the walls of the tower, north, south, east and west for my own reference. I'm just working out how it will all fit together. Again, making sure I've got a very sharp knife. All of the buildings of Undercrag City will have lighting built into them, so I can't just do doors and windows as details on the surface. This approach adds a lot of extra work, but the end result should be pretty special. Peeling the paper off all of the areas where the stonework is to be exposed. I often find myself spending quite a lot of time just turning things around in my hands, making sure they're going to fit and thinking about the proportion of things. At other times I just rush ahead and make mistakes. There's the first three walls glued to the base. And I've cut a staircase from some foam for the south wall. And there you go, flickering yellow LEDs. I've added battlements the same shape as the ones on the walls. These are a bit too chunky, I'll change them later. And now with a trusty old cat food box, I'm going to start designing the doors. Just taking a moment to make sure the card is nice and square. The holes I've left in the walls are far larger than the doors will be. This gives me the opportunity to add negative detail, essentially building inwards rather than outwards. These circle stencils are invaluable. You just can't use a pair of compasses this small. Now I'm just checking for scale against a wizard's tower I built previously. This is 1mm balsa wood. These will be large pieces that sit behind the frame, giving it extra rigidity but also looking like a timber door. I've drawn them out using a graphics pencil for accuracy, but now I'm freehand drawing planks using an old-fashioned HB pencil. Graphics pencil would actually cut straight through the balsa wood. By drawing the planks freehand, you get a much more organic feel. Next, I'm cutting out the arched doorways. Here's the tricky bit. You'll notice I'm turning the card as well as turning the blade. Make sure your blade is sharp. Don't go any faster than you feel you can handle or you will slip. And now cutting the individual pieces. It's worth noting that I don't just use cat food boxes because they're free. The cardboard is actually exceptional quality. I'm putting the glue on the card rather than the balsa wood. I don't want to obscure the grain of the wood with glue where it shouldn't be. I'm leaving a gap at the bottom of the door so that when the lights are on inside the tower, light comes out through the crack. Now moving on to the stonework. I'm plotting a series of crosses here that I'm going to use to line up my circle stencil. This will enable me to create the curved stones to follow the line of the arch. For each of these, I'm using the smaller stencil of the width of the door, which is 8mm, and then surrounding it with a much larger one. in this case 14 millimeters. This will make the stones 3 millimeters wide. If you're going to cut yourself, this is probably when you're going to do it. This is my least favourite part of this process. And the day after doing this, I went out and bought some hole punches to make life easier. Cutting each arch into 3 pieces. I'm taking a moment to get the first piece nicely lined up. The tool I'm using there is a rusty old very small knitting needle. It's been my trusty companion for almost 20 years now. Lovingly known as Pointy Stick. Bit of glue. These are 3mm strips of card. And I'm just eyeballing these measurements. As I mentioned in the previous video, I don't want everything to look too perfect. Plenty of PVA. PVA is great stuff. It shrinks as it dries, so even if you put quite a lot on, it shouldn't obscure too much detail. I'm just working the next stones into place. I'm leaving gaps between the stones that are probably slightly exaggerated if you take scale into account. But this is all for the overall effect. Now that the stonework is starting to take shape, you can see that this approach gives the door quite a bit of depth. Finally, I'm putting a slip of stone at the bottom just to finish the piece off. Most of these doors will have steps outside them that I'll build on later. There we go. This piece is the ground floor of the constabulary, which will be located immediately next to the tower. Now that I've checked for a fit, I'm gluing it in. Just getting it good and straight. And with the rest of the doors done, they're all stuck into place. You can see that they're not perfectly finished at this stage, which doesn't matter. Here we are with the stonework and windows in place, which I'll cover in the next video. And there they are, finished. In the next video I'll be talking about the windows, the hinges on the doors, the stonework, and finally painting the tower. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please like and subscribe. Come and say hello on Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.